Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about 5 novels that I think those who are new to the science fiction genre should read. The first novel I think you should read is called The Planet of the Apes by Pierre Bouet. This was written by a French guy who spent much of his time in Southeast Asia, so he was aware of all the orangutans and other apes and also monkeys out there. This inspired him to think of a planet that's actually run by monkeys and apes, and that's what we see in this novel. In the novel, the planet is much more civilized than you see in the movie, much more advanced in terms of science and culture. It relates to conservation in a way because it's kind of questioning, how much different we are from the apes and the monkeys, and do we really have the right to rule, and do we have a militant ignorance towards the apes and the monkeys? It's quite easy to read and a plot-based kind of story. So I really recommend this. It's quite easy to relate to in comparison to the more space-orientated sci-fi because, as people that haven't been astronauts, we are much more aware of what it's like to live on planets than in outer space. The second sci-fi novel I suggest those new to the genre read is called The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This is very easy to read. I'm not really a huge fan of this novel at all, but it's still a seminal work in sci-fi. Each chapter has its own title, so that always helps with understanding. Those who are very familiar with London may particularly like it because he makes a lot of use of geographical names of areas in London I'm not really familiar with. So those who live around London might particularly like this. It is quite atmospheric, but not brilliant in that sense. But as I say, it is a seminal work, so I suggest this for those new to the genre. The next work that I suggest those who are new to the genre read is called Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. It's easy to forget about the spiritual aspect of life when talking about sci-fi, but C.S. Lewis embraces that and talks about space as being like a heaven area. There's a lot about spirituality, and it just makes you think about that aspect of life. The planet he describes has a very interesting geographical element to it because the waters are warm and gravity is different. It's not the easiest book to read, and there's lots of different names for the different types of being on this planet, which could confuse some readers. But as I say, this is a novel which makes it so you don't leave the spiritual aspect of life behind, so I highly recommend it. This book is part of a trilogy. I haven't read the second two yet. The descriptions are very good, and you feel ensconced in this world in this novel. The next novel that I suggest you read is called The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis. I've mentioned this work before because it's my favorite sci-fi novel. In summary, it's just a relatively realistic idea for sci-fi, so you feel like it could happen, and that really draws you in and makes it a brilliant page-turner. There was a movie of this made with David Bowie in it, which is very different. I preferred the novel by a long shot. The final novel I suggest those who are new to the genre read is called June by Frank Herbert. This is based on a kind of desert planet, and it's a little like Star Wars in a way, but the good and evil aspect is far less pronounced. There are many layers to the story, and it's even got a glossary in the back which tells you how to interpret different terms. It's about power and politics and rulers, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's a seminal work of science fiction, so I highly suggest you read it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.